Well, hello there, everybody. Good morning, good evening, whatever time it is. How's it going? My name is Super Dave, and this is Milltown's Best. Kind of a laid back video, guys. I'm not going with all the production or anything. But what I will tell you is, I was just watching this video here by a YouTuber named Crystal Christie. Somehow the algorithm fed me this video. Who am I, and why did you sub to me? And that got me wondering, not a lot of you guys know who I am, and a lot of you guys probably came on to my channel and subscribed to me, at different parts of my journey. So let me just take the time right now to kind of reintroduce myself to you guys, if you don't mind. Uh, well, guys, where do we even start? Milltown's Best has been around for over 18 years. And I started Milltown's Best as a professional wrestling channel. I was a young teenage kid who wanted to get involved in professional wrestling. I wanted to be a pro wrestler. And, one thing led to another. The pro wrestling aspect of it didn't work out for me, but the production did. And I started doing vlogs for other wrestlers, just editing, like wrestlers like Dysfunction. You may know him as the Weed Man in Juggalo Championship Wrestling. I did his Blazed and Phased vlog for a while. I did vlogs for other wrestlers like Ken Kato, and I filmed for basically every wrestling promotion here in Milwaukee, Wisconsin in the early 2000s. So you might have subscribed way back then, and if you're still with me now, you've seen this crazy journey I've been on. After that, I just tumbled through life. I made every bad mistake I could make. I mean, I fell into addiction, uh, issues with my family. I lost my mother. I lost my father. Uh, I lost my house. I lost everything to the point where I was alone on the streets. And somehow my brother was on the same journey and he was tumbling down and we ended up alone and homeless together. And while we were homeless, we tried vlogging and uh our journey and in and out of homeless shelters. We lived in tents on public, Bureau of Land Management. We were camping behind, we call it the UMO Center here in Milwaukee. And the UMO Center gives you aid for like food and help with your electric bill, and they have places where you can go look for jobs and stuff. So we literally set up a tent behind there, and we were living until at like 2 o'clock in the morning. Somebody came and shook our tent. Me and my brother, we were sharing a tent at that time, and it was a social worker, and they said, "Is this what you want out of life?" And that one day changed everything. Um, we were still addicted, but getting into that homeless shelter, we did. We gave recovery one last chance, both me and my brother. While it took no more chances for me, sobriety stuck since then. My brother had some falling off in that time, but he is clean and sober now, and I have been clean and sober. We were able to achieve housing and all of that, and then I decided, about 2 or 3 years ago, to pick back up making videos, but I was no longer involved in pro wrestling. I had no showed some events. I had, just a reputation as a guy that couldn't make deadlines. I had a reputation as somebody that would no show events. I would take a booking and I would leave these promoters high and dry. So pro wrestling was just not an option for me anymore. So I was like, what can I do to get involved in video making? That's when I discovered commentary. I mean, there are so many people on YouTube who are doing it right now. I think of YouTubers like a Tozy comes to mind. There's so many other people that do comments. Philip DeFranco delivers the news. Ethan Klein does a sort of commentary esque with the H3 podcast. So many people sit back. Hassan Piker's another one. Rich Lux, for God's sake. There are so many. Adam McIntyre. There are so many YouTubers. I'd say thousands of commentators. And I said, well, I like to talk about stuff. And there was a lot going on the internet right at that time. And I was going through the H3 wormhole, so to speak, of all these sub characters on the H3 podcast. And that led me into the commentary community, which was kind of, fronted by Keemstar. And Keemstar was the dreaded enemy of Ethan Klein at the time. And I love the commentary community, and I started making videos about commentators and issues that I thought were going on in commentary. So a lot of my audience subscribed to me through that. And then I started a show with a online friend that I had at that time. Her name was Eli. Their name was Eli. They prefer they them pronouns. But Eli and I started a show called Valid Opinions Live. And right about that time is when I was watching a channel on the internet. Of course, where else would it be these days? Called What the Hales. Yeah. Uh, and I saw a video where I like Jeremy. At the very start of it, I was a huge Jeremy fan. I really was. And I was all for him in Otter Creek. I felt so wrong for him when the water issue was going on that I made a commentary video talking about, how he should be the future mayor of Otter Creek. And that video was well liked by so many people. And I made a short that said I was going to cover the whole saga. And that was liked by the whole community. And then I saw what happened with Mary DeGroot. And I made a video and I said, is that battery? I don't know. You tell me. And then I said it wasn't appropriate to diagnose somebody via a video. And suddenly that video got a copyright strike and it got took down. And I never had a copyright strike like that before, ever. But I heard about Ethan Klein and the H3 podcast going through this and the whole lawsuit they went through over it. And I had just started Valid Opinions Live at that time. And I made a tizzy about the copyright strike because it was fair use. It was. No matter who saw that video, it was fair use. So a couple other YouTubers saw what had been done to me and they voiced up and it became a tizzy. And so a lot of you people might have subscribed to me through that. And that is what led me into covering the ongoing story of that YouTube channel. Now, Jeremy is a public figure, and I felt fully right to cover him. I still wish I could still be covering everything. I don't have it in me anymore. I got so much, coming up down the road, and I just thought, where did you guys find me? And a majority of you guys probably found me from my Hales coverage. And, you know, I really wish I could still be bringing you that stuff, but there are plenty of other channels bringing it to you now. And that is the kind of thing about a hydra or whatever, you cut one head off, another one appears. And I just think this YouTuber is going to be battling this for the rest of his life. It's the life of a public figure, especially a public figure who has secrets, if they even do. From what I've seen so far, he definitely doesn't seem to be forthcoming with everything. But let's be honest, he probably doesn't have to be forthcoming with everybody. None of us do. But the problem is when you choose to be a public figure, uh, stuff's kind of fair game. And the next chapter is to see where this whole lawsuit goes, and that's that. Um, but I know when I continue to make videos and everything, I'm gonna be covering stuff a whole different way from now on. Because I've been on both sides of this now. I've been in Jeremy's shoes, and I've been in my shoes. I know what it feels like to be on both sides of it, to be made fun of, to have people digging and all that stuff. And it's just not the future of the content that I personally want to make. And regardless of what happens with anything, Um, I just, was thinking about that video. Who am I and why did you subscribe? And now that I'm not going to be covering all of this, there's so many other channels covering it. It just sucks that they're all covering it from one angle because the rest of them are shaking in their knickers, kind of like I am, because they don't want to say the wrong thing and end up. I can't even talk about what I ended up having to do uh, to secure representation. It's crazy for just wanting to speak your mind on the internet. Free speech is something I should have. But if somebody feels you defame them, they can put paper in your life. And then that paper costs a lot of money to get it to be proven frivolous, if that. So it's crazy. And this is where my mind is at, guys. I'm a ball of nerves, all stemming from covering a YouTuber. And a YouTuber who says he gave me warnings, but never once got a cease and desist. Never once, never once got a letter asking for a retraction or anything or a correction. I've offered publicly to interview him several times. The only thing I got was threats about copyright for litigation, in which I stopped using any and all of his content. And in that same letter, it said, and I quote, "We do not care about your content." Excuse me. "We do not care about your commentary." Direct quote. They cared about the content being used, and I stopped using the content. Had I got a cease and desist, things would have been a lot different. Rest assured. Absolutely. Um, but this is what I'm going through, guys. It's 7:39 a.m. my time. And I'm just sitting in the studio and I was thinking about, my small compared to that YouTuber, 1,698 subs as they're going away now because I'm not making content. And that's fine. And everybody can make fun of me for losing subscribers all they want. Um, but I'm kind of like in a crisis. I'm kind of struggling creatively, professionally, uh, all around, and it all stems from this one thing, and I guess I don't know if it's the fear of the unknown or what it is, but I really could use some inspiration, guys. So if you guys got any words, that could possibly inspire me, please leave them in the comments below. Basically, what I'm asking you guys for is a little pull up today, guys. I could use a pull up, and I need you guys to remind me why I make YouTube videos. Because right now there's this creative block, and I made my Adam Krudinger video, and that was a video from the heart, and I'm going to continue to do stuff from the heart, but I'm really just I'm stressed, and I got a lot on my mind, as you guys can tell. But what brought you guys to Milltown's Best? More importantly, what's keeping you guys here watching Milltown's Best? Everybody, I'm Supa Dave, and this is Milltown's Best. Today, tell somebody you love them because they might need to hear it the most today. Bye, guys.